If you have ever looked into cold email and felt a bit lost with all the technical terms, this is a video for you. Quick intro on us. We are Midas Signals. We build cold email systems for our clients. And before we go deeper into how any of this works, there are like two words you will hear from us all the time. And it's all about domains and inboxes. So let me break them down in the simplest way for you. Let us start with the domain. A domain is basically your address on the internet. It is the part that comes after the @ sign in your email, so the yourcompany.com part. Think of it like the name of a building. It tells everyone where an email is coming from and who is behind it. So basically, when providers like Google or Outlook decide whether to trust your emails, the domain is one of the first things they look at. Now the inbox. If the domain is the building, then the inbox is a single apartment inside that building. It is the actual mailbox you send from and receive the replies in. Something like john@yourcompany.com. And one domain can hold several inboxes, just like one building can have several apartments in it. So you might have John, Sarah, and the sales address all living under the same domain. So here's the question we get a lot. Why do we buy separate domains and inboxes for outreach instead of using your main company domain that you already have? And this is the most important part because your main domain is very precious. It is the one your real customers, your team, and your invoices all run through. And we never want to put this domain at any risk. So for cold outreach, we set up dedicated domains that are kept completely separate. If anything went wrong on those ends, your main domain stays clean and untouched. That alone is a huge reason why we do it that way. And here's how we do it in practice. We do not just grab any random domains, we create slight variations of your main domain, so they still look and feel like you. If your company domain is yourcompany.com, we might use tryyourcompany.com or getyourcompany.com. We call these domain rotation combinations. And to the person receiving those emails, it still clearly looks like it's coming from your brand, but technically it's a complete separate domain that protects your main one. So you get the trust of your brand name without putting your real domain on the line. And there's a second reason we use multiple domains, and it's all about scaling. Because every inbox can only send a limited number of emails per day before any provider gets suspicious. And that limit is there to keep it looking human and natural. So if you want to reach more people without ever crossing that line, the answer is not to send more from a single inbox. The answer is to spread the volume across several inboxes and several domains. So more mailboxes, each sending a healthy and safe amount instead of one mailbox screaming into the void. Now a quick word on where these inboxes actually live, because you have multiple options here. The two big ones are, of course, Google and Outlook. So Google Workspace and Microsoft. These are the most trusted and most common ones. And for most cases, they work great. And then there is what's called SMTP, which is a more flexible setup that lets you send at higher volumes, often at a lower cost per inbox. But in general, each option has its own strength depending on your specific goals. So your volume, your budget, and other goals you have might vary on the option you need to take. The short version is that there is no single right answer. And part of our job is picking the right infrastructure for your needs. And one honest note here, each of these inboxes also has to be configured properly with a bunch of technical settings in the background that tells the providers your emails are legit. That part alone could fill its own video, so we will not go down this rabbit hole right now, just so that you know this is a real topic, it matters a lot, and it's easy to get wrong. So let's put it all together. The domain is the building, the inbox is the apartment. We use slight variations of your domain to protect your main one. We spread sending across several of them to scale safely, and we pick the right provider setup, especially for your case. That is the foundation everything else is built on. And if you have not seen it yet, this ties directly into our video on the warm-up period. So go check that out next and see what happens once those domains and inboxes are ready to go. And if all of that sounds like a lot, that's because it actually is. If you don't feel like setting all of this up yourself and configure it properly, just talk to us. Head to the description, click the first link there, and book a free consultation with us. We will set the whole thing up for you, fully configured and ready to perform. Keep sending, guys.